Well, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to another episode of Shop Talk. And I hope everyone is having a good day and staying warm on this nice cold Monday afternoon. And we just want to look at a couple of lineups that we have coming in the near future. This past couple of weeks we were able to get some big pending items out of here, which means we get paid and get some money to start working on other projects. And just want to give you a little lineup of things to come in the future. We got this TS50 that we got to go through. I done recapped the radio, and we got to see can we get some power out of it. And that one is for a customer, so that'll be the next project I'm going to be working on the bench now to go ahead and try to get finished up. We still got our HTX 100 realistic 10-meter radio that we'll be going through here in the future to figure out what we can do about finding an off-the-shelf display and some type of programmable board to take the information from the CPU and display it. I had several emails about people has emailed me and wanted to know if I could fix theirs. Well, I do want you to know, unfortunately, there is no available off-the-shelf displays that's plug and play. So if yours has that black spot on the display, it's only going to get worse. If yours doesn't have it yet, it will eventually. It seems like everyone that I know of that has one of these radios is losing the display. And we ever see, seeing them also in the President Lincolns and the HR 2510s. Although the realistic HTX 100 and HTX 10 seems to be the worst of the bunch. So we'll be trying to come up with a solution here in the future to get that taken care of. We also have a 101 that we can get back on here pretty soon. It's just been so busy, so many customers' radios in and out. And like I said, I did have some major pieces that's been pending, and also our fender that we just finished up. So we'll be able to get some back, some more time back on this. We'll be finishing up the old National before long. And as time goes, we might even do some scratch building on some single-ended guitar amplifier heads. This is something that I built about a year or so ago, and this was the prototype, and I made one for another guy, and it's all hand built, bent chassis and a few other things, so we might get on doing a couple of scratch builds on this. Another thing I like to do is build a replica of either the 65 Fender Deluxe Reverb or maybe a 59 Bandmaster. So we might look at doing that in the future also. Another item that we're working through, and it's been on the other bench, is our Kenwood TS940S. This is one that had the dots problem, and I'm working through that and just finding many more problems in this old radio. But eventually we're going to get all these problems fixed. And I did have a lot of footage on this, but when the computer crashed during Hurricane Matthew, all that was lost. So we'll still going to have a lot of footage on that. And not only do we have that one, this is one that was sent in from a customer, and it has took a lightning strike, and I've already done some work on it, and was able to get the radio back up and running, but unfortunately it failed again. And the last couple of times I've worked on it, every time I get one circuit working, another circuit fails. So it's got a lot of problems that's got to be gone through. You know, when lightning hits something, it's just does so much damage, and sometimes you can fix it all, and sometimes you'll find out it's not really worth fixing. But hopefully we can work through this one and get it going. I saw some promising results when I got everything up and running a while back until it failed again, but it's promising. I think we can be able to handle that. Now, back some time ago, our friend Paul over at Mr. Carson's lab did a repair on a Sony CRF 320, and Paul did a excellent job on this piece of equipment. And if y'all haven't been watching his channel, I suggest you do so. Paul is probably one of the best that I know of when it comes to this electronic repair. I mean, he is just amazing at how he narrates and performs his repair, and his analogy of everything. It's just awesome. So if y'all haven't watched his channel, I suggest you take the time to do so. But in this video, Paul restored a Sony 320, and you know, when you get to work on a piece of equipment like that, I almost call it an honor, because the Sony CRF 320 is like the Rolls Royce of any shortwave receiver out there. Sony made good equipment back up in the 70s, and it's just an outstanding piece of equipment. So guess what we have on the bench now? Yep, a Sony CRF 320. And a nice gentleman from New Orleans contacted me. I think I got the city right. Anyway, he contacted me and wanted to know if I would take a stab at repairing one. And he's had this thing since his first wedding anniversary, and asked if I would take a look at it. And he already knew what some of the problems was. So we'll be going through this receiver sometime in the near future. And you know, to me, I think the 320 is one of the most beautiful rigs on the market that you can find when it comes to a semi-modern shortwave receiver. And we already know some of the issues with this. We have some, you know, problems in our parts. The display, the LED display, is not lining up with the main tuning dial. And also, as you can see, as I rock the VFO dial back and forth, you see our dial indicator is not moving until I go further on that rock and it moves. So we got some play there. And also, when you get down to about 600, just a little below 600, it will no longer track the digital readout wheel, but the dial indicator will not move anymore. So we're going to have to tear this down, and we already know there's some bad gears in there that's going to have to be replaced. As I was playing around with it the other day, and I noticed that some of the parts, like this 1 megahertz, you know, this 1 through 10 megahertz indicator, when you move it, you can hear the receive go off and on. So there's several issues that we'll be going through and bringing this Rolls Royce back up to its former glory and, you know, factory specifications. So we'll be working along through that. You know, I just feel like it's an honor to get to work on this piece of equipment. And after this one's fixed, we have a Sony V-21 that will be coming in, that we'll be taking a look at also. So another piece of equipment that I have been working on over the past couple of years and finally had to quit on it due to lack of information. So I'm going to reach out to my overseas viewers and ask around and see if anyone has ran across a receiver like this. This is a AV standard radio, and this was the front panel, and it was just in very, very, very terrible shape. And we've got several plates, you know, that go on in various places. And as you can see, they completely had it. Luckily, you know, it's all raised letters, so I can repaint, you know, clean the plate, repaint, and then clean the paint off the lettering, and it should look good again after repainting the front panel. Now there is some, you know, defects in the front panel that I've got to fix. I just sanded it down and primed it until I could get to it. But if anyone has any information on this piece of equipment or have any documentation on it, it's what I would really, really love to get a hold of. And from what I'm seeing, it looks like this also took a lightning strike. Over here in one of these compartments is a bunch of coils, and several of these coils are just burnt completely up. Now, you know, this thing, I don't know, was made probably late 60s, early 70s. And before I can go any further, I'm going to have some documentation to rewind these coils before I go spending a bunch of time getting everything else working on it. So this is a shot of the receiver before it was completely tore down, and you can see how everything is lined up and looks on it. I just really like the way this receiver looks. I think it has a beautiful front panel on it, and especially this the dial is a a work of art, and the dial display is just very nice in this old piece of equipment. Now this is that coil section, and it's for different bands. You know, you got 2 traps per band, and this is where I'm mainly needing a lot of information on. I'd love to have a whole complete service manual on it if I could find it. But as you can see here, how the coil former is just completely burnt out, and there's nothing left there to even wind a new coil on. So I will have to be building all new coil formers. And even on the other side of the board, you can see the slugs just crumble. You know, you can't even adjust nothing. It just crumbles. The circuit board itself is in pretty good shape. Then here's a picture of the front panel of the display, the analog dial with everything off of it, and you see it's just, you know, it's just a work of art. Then it's got all this gear mechanism and stuff down here in the bottom of it. It's just amazing how well it was designed. You know, even the VFO mechanism had a lot of washers in it, and believe it or not, they were still working just like they were. No signs of wear on them. They just work perfect, and the needle just moves so smoothly. And this is part of the VFO mechanism. You can see we have a carrier here, and it's got 3 ball bearings in it that it rides on. and this is actually the Vfo shaft itself. And you can see this here with the bake light levers, and this is like a brake system. This panel showing the HF gain, band select, and selectivity. Here we have our main switch, mains and battery, a volume, and a VFO pitch. This is the wave trap dial, and this, you tune your antenna to match. If you notice up here, this little plate, and I had to put that under the microscope to get the information off of it, because it was, just so faded out, it was real hard to read. One thing I thought was real funny in it is that this is the Vfo Tuning Capacitor, and this is the dial going out to the needle mechanism. And right here in the middle, you can see these little screws are going through these metal rings, and this is actually a wooding. It's made out of some type, I think it was cherry. It's a coupling that connects the two together. Anyway, this is the information that was on that tag, and if anybody recognizes this, and it's like it's Swedish made, please, if you find any information on it, let me know. I would love to find some documentation on this piece. This is just a quick inside shot of it in its tore down state. And you can see these massive IF coils that's in here. That's 4 inches, 100 millimeters. They are huge. It's about 2 inches across. Right at 50 millimeters. Things are just big. And I have my little box of parts and stuff, and there's some Phillips tubes, and it had all the original tubes in it. So you don't see these old flat top tubes that much, but that's what it had in it. And I think that was the rectifier tube. It's been changed. It's a Dumont. But anyway, if anybody has any information on this whole thing, please shoot me a mail or PM. Let me know. So last but not least, guy went out on eBay and he bought this B&K. It's a model 747B solid state dynamic mutual conductance tube tester. And he got it home and plugged it up and checked tubes, and it looks like everything he checked was extremely good. So he brought it over to me, and we'll be going through this and pulling the main board out and rebuilding that main board, and cleaning the tube sockets and the switches, and giving the thing a good, tune up so it'll read tubes accurately. I put a tube in that checked like 22% on my meter, and on this meter it's up in the 90s, so she's way out of calibration. I sat down and went through the calibration on it, and you cannot bring it into specifications the way it is. So it's got some components that stripped it out that we'll have to be getting in there and replacing a bunch of stuff and get everything lined back up. Anyways, you can see a lot coming in the near future. A lot of work to be done, a lot of projects, and hopefully a lot of fun. So if you're like this old kind of stuff, stick around. We'll be producing a whole lot more videos here in the near future. And I've already had a dozen calls for tube amp repairs here lately, and everyone said, you know, asked, and when I did the first video on the Fender Deluxe, you know, if y'all would like to see more of them, that I would, and most people said yes. So here in the future we'll be seeing hopefully a lot more tube amplifier repair. Anyway, stick with me, a lot to come, and we'll see you in the next one.